to be a short meeting today. Madalena, are you able to undo your camera?
Yes.
And I'll get you started. And whenever you're ready.
Sure. Thank you. And I will need a little bit of your time just to let you know what we're trying to accomplish. We really want to get your feedback on some of the accessibility training that we are considering for the upcoming calendar year. So I wanted to kind of give you some background on this, but we are going to ask, if you don't mind, if you would kind of fill out the survey and give us your suggestions on how to proceed with this. So part of this survey is looking at where you are in terms of accessibility training for your staff, given that the ADA Title II updates are coming due this April. I know I've worked with a lot of the districts, and they are well on their way in putting out training for everyone in their district, making everybody aware of what the expectations are in terms of compliance with the new updates. But in case you have not, we are still standing ready and able and willing to help you with that. In addition to that, we have provided WebAIM training in the past. So we want your feedback on whether or not you found that helpful and what kind of format and timeline we're looking at in terms of providing it if you are interested. So we really want to tailor this to your needs. So if you are not familiar with the WebAIM training that we have provided in the past, this has been something that we typically did once a year. WebAIM is a, an accessibility leader in the field, providing trainings for many years now for SCDE. So before we commit to considering this again for this upcoming year, we wanted to get your feedback on that. So that is the QR code and the link, and I will put it in the chat here in a minute. But if you have additional questions on any of that, just let me know. But we really appreciate your feedback. If it's possible by the end of the month, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Madalena. And I did see Phil Young pop up, and I'm gonna let him undo uh and
Yeah,
show
I
up
am
on.
here and ready to talk. Can you hear me okay, Lisa?
Yep, yep,
Okay.
just fine. I don't know if you have slides or anything you want to share. You just have some.
No, I just have just a quick update, and then I'll show
Okay.
something in the system. But this is just related to uh, events transferring in EdPlan. So we just kind of wanted to get this information out there in that for districts, and it's related to the Medicaid parent consent form. So when we launched the system, I think EdPlan SC, I think a great thing about it is that all of the documents and information transfers between districts. And so districts have been using that. But one thing that we learned over the past couple weeks, and I just want to say we've done some work on the back end to fix this issue. So I want to but just make everyone aware of the issue that was happening. But basically, when you were completing transfers, the Medicaid parent consent form is also transferring. And what we've heard from the Office of Medicaid Services is that that Medicaid parent consent form is specific to your district and can't be transferred. So that anytime a new student kind of transfers between districts, that local district, that new receiving district needs to get their own consent form for Medicaid services. And so the Medicaid consent that maybe the other district got that transferred via Ed Plan wouldn't be a valid consent. And so I'll share my screen real quick just to sort of give context to what I'm talking about. So I'm talking about the Medicaid parent consent form that gets generated under consent forms. There's a Medicaid parent consent form. And when I transfer this student's documents to another district, that Medicaid parent consent form will come over. And so we just kind of wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that. And then I just wanted to talk real quick about how to prevent that from coming over. I do want to say for our clients that use PCG for Medicaid, we have stopped done a process to make sure that we don't submit billing for students that have a Medicaid parent consent form that is not from the district. So if it was a transferred in Medicaid parent consent form, we won't bill for that service. And then it'll also flag in the system, like on our exceptions report, if that student doesn't have a valid Medicaid parent consent form. And you're welcome to reach out if you're, reach out and ask our team any questions related to that. But I think what I wanted to share is how to prevent this from transferring. So just a real quick, 2-minute transfer lesson here. So if you're in the process or someone on your team is in the process to do a transfer, so I'm just under admin actions and then the transfer process, and I put in some students' information to request that transfer information. So I'm going to click the button to request the student transfer, and I get the screen that shows me kind of what data should be transferred. And initially we kind of just said, hey, just check all and bring everything over. But in the case of, let's say that you don't want to bring over that Medicaid parent consent form, down here there's this little Medicaid events box, and so by default it's left unchecked. So if you can just leave it unchecked and it won't bring over any of those Medicaid events. But if you do check it, it will bring over those events. So that might be one thing to just share with your person who handles transfers, that if you don't want those like Medicaid parent consent events to transfer when you request information from another district in state, you can just make sure that this Medicaid events box remains unclicked, and then that information won't transfer in the transfer process. So I'm happy to try and answer any questions if anyone has any. But if not, submit a ticket or reach out to one of us and we can try and support you with that. And I think that's all I had, Lisa.
I don't see anything in messages yet, so thank you, Phil, for updating us on that. And Deanna, I think you're up next if you're here.
Hi, yeah, I'm here. I'm ready.
Good, awesome.
All right. Yeah, join me tomorrow. We have our first evidence-based practice network of 2026. And I will be talking about one critical element of explicit instruction, and that's distributed and cumulative practice. So that's tomorrow at 3:30. You can find the information here. This is a virtual webinar. You can go advance for me, please. Yep, our MTSS series is happening next week. If you're interested in learning more about reading comprehension and strategies to support students, we'll be in Columbia with Dr. Devin Kearns on the 26th and 27th. The 26th is elementary and the 27th is secondary. And then in February, we are excited to offer this year writing strategies. So we'll have Dr. Michael Herbert here. Actually, I think his name is Hebert, so we have a little bit misspelling there, but we'll also be in the Columbia area. Again, we have dates for elementary and secondary, so you can scan that QR code and it'll take you to registration for any of these events. Communities of practice coming up this month. We have our database problem solving, our extensive support needs, and our teacher toolkit. And you can find information about how to register for those on our website through the link. In February, our evidence-based practice network will feature effective scheduling for students with disabilities, and we're happy to highlight Graham Thomas from Lancaster County School District as a principal talking about how to navigate the challenges of scheduling. And then CEC pre-conference coming up. We have a full day. We are dividing that day between strategies for reading and strategies for math. So I hope you can join us on this day. It's free. We also will be offering sessions during the conference on the 27th and 28th. So we hope to see a lot of you there. While we're talking about CEC, I'm going to drop a link into the chat for the CASE CEC event too. There's a pre-conference for CASE, and there will be also strands if you're interested as special ed leaders to attend the CASE events during the CEC conference. And I'll send a flyer out to Sarah so maybe she can get it to everyone as well. I might have, our calendar's here. Want to see what's up? We have lots of things, as I've already mentioned, on the books. Busy, busy, busy coming up. So check us out here if you want to see everything in one place. There's a link to our calendar. And I think the last one was just to join our newsletter once a month. You get all the updates on any new resources that we're publishing, any events that we're having, and anything that we're featuring. So Susan likes to say she likes friends. So please join our newsletter. Thanks so much, Lisa.
Thanks, Deanna. Next up, we have Skippy, South Carolina Partnerships for Inclusion. And Joe, if you're here, you want to take?
Yeah, so I'm Joe Wallace. I'm a technical assistant specialist with Skippy. Join us for an interactive professional learning community designed to strengthen data collection and reporting in preschool programs. Together, we'll explore how accurate data improves programs, ensures IDEA compliance, and supports positive outcomes for children with disabilities. We do have renewal credits and endeavors credits available for that one. So you can click or use a QR code to register, and the dates are right there. It's all virtual. And next, come learn more about the Special Education Itinerant Teacher or SEE IT Academy on February 9th. Following this session, applications for the 2026 SEE IT Academy cohort will open. SCDE renewal credits and SC Endeavors training credits will be available for cohort participants interested in starting an itinerant program to increase the continuum of preschool placements. Skippy will also be offering a free full-day pre-conference using the 4th edition of the Building Blocks for Teaching Young Children in Inclusive Settings. Participants will receive a copy of the book for free and learn valuable curriculum modifications, explore embedded learning opportunities, and child-focused instructional strategies. So we hope to see you guys there. And following that pre-conference, Skippy will sponsor an early childhood strand of sessions. And these include the ones that you see here on cross-sector collaboration, funding options, and the child outcome summary process, and ending with an early childhood education panel, which is a big picture policy overview of federal and state activities that impact young children and their families in South Carolina. I think I see a question. Is there one? Yeah, in the chat. Does SEE IT Academy also support K-12 inclusion program development? If not, is there an ed associate who specializes in inclusion support? So Skippy really primarily focuses on preschool inclusion and strengthening the continuum of placements in the preschool area. And SEE IT is just for special education itinerant teacher. So if your district is interested in starting that special like itinerant teacher program or having options for itinerant teachers, then that SEE IT would be something that you wanted to be a part of. But you can also, if you're just curious, you can also come to the information session to see if that's the right fit for your district. I'm not sure about education associates that specialize in that. But it might be a good idea for you to just come to the information session to see if the itinerant teacher program is something that you want to offer.
Hey,
And
Ashley,
Just you're part of See It, so K-12 support.
yeah, Ashley, if you guys, any district, if you want to discuss specific issues on inclusion, you can submit a TA assistant request and we can work with it. We probably have to get some additional information just on kind of what your current setup is. And then we could utilize, SC teams, it might be something that Ask could help with. It just depends on the nature of the questions, but you can certainly submit it. There is a request for assistance tab on the SC Teams website, so you can use that request for assistance, and it's kind of triaged by both the department and SC Teams. So absolutely, if you need TA in that respect, we don't have anybody specifically assigned to inclusion because it kind of overlaps a lot of different people's role in the office. But if you submit a request, we can certainly triage it and figure out who might be best to help you.
Thank you. I think that answered it. And I'm glad that you're part of See It. That makes Skippy happy. I'm happy. Building collaborative early childhood partnerships, COP. So we have that coming up too. In March, join us virtually for lunch. We will work to build. It's been great. Good. We will work to build collaborative cross-sector early childhood partnerships across South Carolina. Registration will be launched following the SCCEC conference in February. And we wanted to share again about Pyramid Pieces. The Pyramid Pieces team is available for program-wide implementation or consultation at any point throughout the year. Complete the interest form and Pyramid Pieces will be in touch to get more details about how they can support your district. And that is all for Skippy.
thanks. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. For those of you who are joining us a little late, we had Barbara Drayton on our schedule today to talk about homebound home-based, and we were all out yesterday, and over the weekend she was ill and she has no voice to speak of or to be able to understand. And she was going to speak to homebound home-based, so we are going to postpone her and put her on the schedule down the road. And so we're a little short today because we had allowed her 45 minutes for her presentation. So if there any questions anyone has.
Lisa, I have a question. This is
Sure.
Wendy Height from Spark 5, and I'm on my phone and it doesn't let me enter into the chat.
That's
Is there
okay.
an update on the secondary course codes? And I just haven't seen it.
Peter, do you know for sure?
Yeah, there hasn't been any updates yet. So it will be similar to what you saw before, but we're contemplating separating it rather than having academic seminar, and that's what you're speaking of, right? Academic seminar.
Yes.
Yeah. So academic seminar will maintain the same code, but they're contemplating setting up a different set of codes, which they would call support lab, just to make it clear the one that is not weighted for purposes of GPA, which would be the support lab course, whereas academic seminar would just be a credit-bearing, weight-bearing GPA weight-bearing course. But we'll be providing that with some, basically to get some feedback from you guys on in a future meeting, probably the second one in February. So we're looking at that.
Well, they're already looking at scheduling and course catalogs and things for next year. So the sooner we could get that information, the better.
Yeah, we're working as rapidly as we can to get that information. But like I said, the academic seminar courses would maintain their same codes from as far as I know. So it might just be a few that you would need to switch over to this new support lab, depending on which courses you're offering. But if it's the credit, if it's the one that you want for a GPA weighted, the academic seminar course will be the right one. It was the one this year, and it'll be the same one next year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Peter, there's another question. If you want to touch on this, has OSIS received any information regarding the IDA funding for next year? Some staff from a district's finance team attended their roundtable and were told that budgets may be significantly impacted next year. And could this be related to the move from OSIP to DHHS?
Yeah, there's no, so obviously the federal government is working under continuing resolutions now because they don't have a settled budget. You know, it's, and the current continuing resolution ends at the end of January. So we'll see if there's going to be another federal shutdown. But as far as budgeting for next year, the proposals that we've seen in the federal budget have maintained the level of IDA funding at essentially 2024 levels. So so that would mean that your funding would you know, I mean, it can vary depending on obviously whether, you know, your student population and so forth. But the overall funding of IDEA is supposed to remain the same under current proposals, but those budgets have not been agreed upon. Obviously, that's why we're operating under continuing resolutions right now at the federal level. So in other words, if you know, if I were planning for districts, you know, we anticipate that the levels are going to be the same. I mean, once again, with the variance that, you know, if a district had, you know, 5,000 students move out, you know, that would obviously change the funding, but the overall level to the state would be the same. So assuming that your student population remains similar to what you had this year, then your funding should remain the same. There was a little decrease this year to the prior year because the pot of IDA funds got slightly smaller because OSEP, the federal agency, had recovered some funds from one of the bigger states, and that had been included in the allocation the prior year. And so it kind of added a little extra funding to the prior year, but not this school year. So it went down slightly. But then we provided some of the state set aside to some of the districts to make up those funds this year. So the bottom line is that we're hoping that the funding remains level. That's been the proposal so far. But we don't have certainty at the federal level at the current time on the funding. So hopefully they reach a resolution on the federal budget in time for everybody to make their plans. But like I said, I haven't seen any threat. We also haven't seen anyone request suggest reduced funding, and then that was in the Senate budget version, and in the White House budget version, it said maintenance, meaning same level of funding for IDA.
Thank you. Peter, any other questions before we go? If no other questions, then our next meeting is February 3rd, 2026. Let's trying to say that because it's just hard to get in my mind that we're in 2026 already.
Yeah, there's another question.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
I also was going to say on the move to DHHS. I mean, as you guys know, there were 6 interagency agreements reached by the current administration to move pieces of the Department of Education to other agencies. There has been talk of moving OSIP to HHS. Right now, it's just, you know, rumors that could be a possibility. So I mean, it's been and it's been suggested. I mean, the administration has said that was one of their objectives. We had a meeting today with OSIP, but there's no news of that right now. So it's still a possibility, but it hasn't been officially announced. So we'll, you know, most likely it'll come out in the news as quickly as we know it. You guys will know it if they reach an agreement and sign an interagency agreement to move that department to HHS. But that was the last rumor we heard too. But we don't know any more than that. As far as the ABA services, it's still we still had the 2 memos that we put out with respect to services. We understand that there is a bill that's been proposed to the legislature that would discuss ABA services. So that's where it stands right now. Is it's a proposed bill. I don't know. Lisa, do we have any word? I don't know if there's
I
any
think the
committee
bill has-
hearings.
Yeah, no, it's out of committee in the House. The House voted, I believe the bill moved on to the Senate. It's pretty much going to go on to the floor of the Senate for a vote. I think that's all it has left to do. But it is specific to ABA services. We've got hours and hours and weeks into getting that bill down to something that we hope the districts, can live with. And so when the legislation takes it up to vote, we don't, and that's up to the legislation, to the Senate when they put it on the floor for a vote. So could be January, it could be May, and anywhere in between.
Is it the same bill that was proposed last year?
The bill is much smaller. It just includes ABA therapy. In the schools, there's no speech, there's no counseling, there's no, bring your dentist for a dental appointment. I'm just kidding about that, but it doesn't have all of that. It's just ABA therapists. So
Is it on the, do you have the number? Do we have the bill number? Let me check and see if we have the bill number, because you can look it up on the website. On the legislature website. Just give us a second. We'll try to find it. I think it's House Bill 3974.
yeah, 3974. And I will say, just, for your knowledge and as future bills go by, any educational bill that goes to the House or the Senate, will have open sessions for the public to come in and just give comments on what, they think about the bill, what the bill will do. We did have a few districts, do that. And we did in a small group that the legislation appointed to work on redrafting and working on that bill. We did reach out to some districts who already had some ABA policies in place as we worked on drafting that bill, but it's helpful when you all come to some of those public sessions and voice, your opinions on what you think that bill, would mean to you as a district person. I don't know if that made any sense. But let your voice be heard is another, just what I'm saying. The opportunities are there. So
I did drop in the link to the current version as we've been, and these things can be amended all the way up in time until they're passed. So
right.
So that's the current version.
However, both the committees in the House both passed this final version. So it would be the Senate that would have to change it and then send it back to the House if they do decide to do that. Any other questions? If there's no other questions, we'll see you guys, everybody, February 3rd. Stay warm, stay safe. We hear we're getting some bad weather this weekend, so hope everybody stays warm and has a good weekend. Thank you.